Hello everyone, welcome to Nareen's Life with MS. This is Nareen and it's time for Mindful Monday. And this Mindful Monday, I just wanted to give a progress report on, how I feel my thinking, like um, my calmness, as you can say, is going as a result of actually meditating twice a day. Um, Before I start, I do want to say that it's not the easiest thing to meditate twice a day. A lot of times when I plan to try to do a slightly longer meditation, usually something comes up and I have to resort to using a shorter meditation or meditate for a much shorter amount of time. So obviously there is a lot of room for improvement. But at the same time, the one thing I can say is that I definitely feel a lot calmer. Right? Hopefully, I'm not as angry anymore. And more so than, feeling angry, I think the one thing that I try not to do is get a little hyperactive in the case something bad or something untoward is happening. A lot of times, what would end up happening was, my regular response was to speed everything up a lot faster in case I made a certain mistake. And the first thing I ended up doing was I stopped that completely. And so that turned out to be a great thing for me. And this happened a lot before I started meditating, really. But I still felt that there used to be, a certain something, right? I would feel something in my heart, right? It would start beating faster, something would happen in the case something went wrong. And I'd say that that is probably one of the first things that I am experiencing that I maybe do not do. Or even if I do end up going that route, even if, let's say, my heart starts beating faster, if I start feeling a little panicked, I still end up, taking a deep breath, thinking slowly, and responding slowly, right? I mean, there is no reason that, it you can't take 30 seconds to answer a question if you need those 30 seconds. And a lot of times, especially in the past, one of the things I used to do was I used to say, okay, it's 30 seconds, I should be able to do it in 10. And that used to be the one thing that really would end up backfiring on me. And I see that also happen elsewhere. So, one of the things that I normally would do was I would listen to podcasts. I'm very very if I find a podcast that I really like, I definitely try to listen to as many episodes as possible, uh, as quickly as possible. And while I do gain a lot of the knowledge, I do gain a lot of the information, sometimes one thing that I find actually soothes me is listening to the podcast, and listening to something at a 2x speed definitely does not keep me calm in any way whatsoever. So now I've realized that I am listening to podcasts generally at a much slower speed. Usually I listen to them in between 1.2 and 1.5x the speed. Normally 1x is still a little bit slow for me, but I am trying to slow myself down just so I can feel a little more at ease with myself. Because one thing that does end up happening to you, especially when you're in sort of a scenario like I am in, you feel that time is running out, but at the end of the day you have to realize that whatever has to happen will happen, and the only thing you can do is to just enjoy your time, right? Take that extra breath, take that extra time to think, because a lot of times those extra those extra seconds will actually end up benefiting you. And I actually do end up seeing that happen. Today I was listening to another podcast, and I mean, the podcast itself, the content of it is amazing, but I came across an episode which I really resonated with. It pretty much checked every single box that until now I didn't think would exist in one podcast episode. So the one thing I ended up doing was I actually ended up emailing the podcast and saying that this is literally everything I've looked forward to, because it not only does this podcast cover who I am, what I like, but it's something that is a very niche topic that somehow I'm also very passionate about. So really, I mean, slowing down is one thing, you know, slowly thinking about things is another thing, but really putting all of that together, right? Actually enjoying what I am doing, because I'm slowing it down, actually ended up making me learn something and even put a little more, just look at it with a little more depth. And honestly, I'm very happy about that. And that actually makes me feel a little more mindful, at least this Monday. So, my little advice to everyone, just find a way to just slow down a little bit, right, once in a while. Even if you can't slow down all the time, you can definitely slow down once in a while. Take that extra breath if you need it. Also, I don't know why my voice is doing what it is doing. I don't think I'm falling sick, but I don't know, it was just going in and out. Uh, but apart from that, just have that time, right? Learn. The smallest thing I learned from doing all of this meditation was, you know, me taking those 10 or 20 extra seconds is not going to change anything to a very large extent, especially when I have to communicate And so as a result, I should maybe take that extra time. Maybe I should listen for that time. Maybe I should think for that time. And I actually learned something that I did not hope to learn today. So with that said, that is of course your Mindful Monday. This is Naren's Life with MS. I am Naren. Of course, please drop in your thoughts, your insights, your experiences about when you actually benefited from slowing down just a little bit and maybe just giving yourself that little extra time. And do tell me what you did it for, how it actually benefited you. And with that said, here's me wishing you a good night, sweet dreams, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.